Yeah, all the way from the wilds of southwest side of Chicago. Oh my God. If you get to sit down, I get to sit down. There we go. Yeah, I've been, wrote my first story, all 8 words of it, 63 years ago. First got published 50 years ago. And in that time frame, I spent about 15 years not doing poetry or fiction, but writing history. So I've kept myself busy. Do me a favor, if you can remember to, hold your applause between pieces, because otherwise my train of thought just will be out somewhere in the hall waiting for me. And it won't be near as much fun for me. For you, maybe. We'll see. Arbor and Winepress is after a landscape by Fra Bartolomeo. I used to sit in the library between getting done with my grad school classes and having to be at work and stumbling on things that made me write. This is where you brought me when we wed. I, 15, and not yet quick with child, though filled with longings, passed down by my mother and hers. You, 18, and poorly educated to a life not set before you in the halls your father brought the tutors to. The copse of trees is thinner now, as is my life these years alone. The room in back where we first took each other with an innocent savagery is mine alone, a shrine, holding memories that ended with you. At the gate, our oldest son and his son, a tomcat that came to clear the mice and stayed when they were done, a wine press calling forth the joy of life, and the mist grape is as fruitless as imagined lives without this place. Don't write near as much autobiographical stuff as I did when I was 17 or 18, thank God. But what happens in my life can sometimes trigger things. This was a conversation that took place, as the title suggests, on 11 November. In a very different place, I called you just to hear your voice. You asked how I knew you needed me to talk to, and I didn't. Not until you told me of your mourning, the abortion, the heartache of loneliness. Later, I listened to Paul Simon sing about the day, and Penny Evans mourn one death among 60,000. A choice you made. Odd how it eclipsed what men such as I had done in different places. And this is called Deanna in the Afternoon. Lying on their bed in the afternoon, she meant only to sleep the August heat away. Making love wasn't on her mind any more than what to cook for dinner or get her mother for Christmas. Now, naked except for his hand on her thigh and well waxed by his sweat as well as her own, she's glad she said yes. I used to own a 2000 or 2001 Impala that came with a radio that picked up whatever stations it felt like picking up. Usually a Spanish station. And Spanish at one time was my third language after English and Swedish. But that was a long time ago. Corazon y Esperanza. All the music on the radio is in a foreign tongue to what I speak each day. The only words I recognize once meant heart, meant hope. And I spoke this language once, but lost it through disuse. I was accused before this started of having been influenced by Richard Brautigan, and I plead guilty. I tend to be a much shorter poet than a lot of the people that I socialize with, such as that one. Mother and child. When you were 1, we spent the day at Disneyland. Your mother, my uncle, and I took turns watching you in your stroller from ride to ride. That night in your crib, you gazed wide-eyed for an hour, digesting, I guess, what you'd seen, and then smiled sweetly in your sleep. You won't remember, but we speak of it still. And it's early in the 5th decade since that day. Your son is back from his war just as I was from mine. His gaze across the dinner table is hooded, distant. I hope when he's a father he'll dream of wondrous times and fear that when he's a grandfather he'll scratch at hidden scars and remember only his bodies at the end of the day. Girl with Mirror, still life, is based on a photograph that a friend of mine posted on Facebook, which immediately disappeared from Facebook for some reason after I saw it. A girl sitting in a field, 16, 17 years old maybe, holding a large mirror in front of her. And the mirror is reflecting as if it's just looking right through her. Okay, it's showing something that's actually back behind her. 1, Daddy didn't see me. Not as long as I was small, able to hide behind my sister's older body. She's grown now, enough to lose his interest. And I've grown too. Too much for Daddy not to see me. 2, when I was young, the lady on the TV looked and called the names of children in her magic glass, but she never called mine. I thought she would someday. When I was older, the girls on the playground looked and called the girls they wanted on their teams. They never called me. I thought they would one day. Now I'm older still, and men who want to love look and call the women they want in their lives, and they never call me. 3, you know what's wrong with this picture, don't you? It tells the truth of how you treat your women. Draining them of hope, loving them with lies as you feed on their pain, turning the fruitful future into a bruised cheek, breaking dreams as easily as bones. And you had the nerve to call yourself a man, alive, you creature of their nightmares. My wife and I are lucky enough to have 3 grown daughters, 2 granddaughters, and a great-granddaughter. I take that very personally. Later, in the tongue of lovers. Later, as the sunset fades on the living room wall, they sit in cold blue lightning and the warmth of the fire they started. In accents reserved for foreign things, they speak of childhood sounds, the smell of sewing machines and Friday bars at closing time, the aftertaste of murdered love. Later, after the curtains turn down the street light, they write essays in tongues across foreign lands. They read each other in the braille of lovers. They search maps on which there are no monsters. The fire burns long, but not forever. And finally they sleep, pages in a book, nestled beneath the covers as the ink dries on that chapter. And later, as the sunrise makes its way across them, they sit at the kitchen table, sift the ashes with silences as well as words, find the embers whispering of kindle and flame. Flame hot enough to weld too tightly, given laters. And later they will lose the vocabularies of the past, burning letters, cast in scripts they no longer recognize or need to remember against the silent nights.
Wow.
phone call from a college friend of mine who's now long gone. She is all this is about. She is dressed for winter landscapes. She is wrapped in the spare blanket. She has the heater set to blazing. She is cold to the core of her soul. She sits on the outworn motel carpet. She turns her back to the unmade bed. She keeps her back to the still fresh shame. She can't bear to look at them. She has already showered twice today. She finds the strength to shower again. She soaps her body with her eyes closed. She can barely stand to touch it. She had dinner with him downstairs. She sat and talked with him in her room. She felt safe with her father's brother. She holds the memory of what he did. She turns and turns the images of rape. She squeezes them in her fists. She forces herself to look deep into them. She is as cold as the wrath of demons. Kisses like ghosts. Lily wants to be 18 again, parked out in the country woods, lost in kisses so deep in her soul she's scared to breathe, scared that if she does, she'll miss something. Paloma needs to be 18 again, free to open herself to the one she thinks can lead her out of sadness, sadness that surprises, and the thought of being the same forevermore. She gathers the wings of her dressing gown and sits before the morning mirror. The careful fingerprints of a man she's never kissed show through her powder and gloss. I am guilty of being a bit autobiographical once in a while. 13, 14. Some nights after walking one of them home from the dance in the school gym, her father would ask me in, offer a meal of fresh baked bread, peppercorn salami. I'd pick the kernels out or swallow them whole, not to my untrained taste, foreshadowing other choices waiting for the serving. They were the girls we practiced on. No, not that way. These were the early 60s, unlike the later ones when rules shattered. I mean the first really scary stuff. Holding hands, slow dancing, saying the right words for a smile, completely, complexly, simple, goodnight hugs and kisses on the porch. I can't imagine they remember, fathers or daughters, even if I do at times. With time, there must have been the wiser tastes and truer suitors. They were the girls, nameless to me only on this page, only from respect and hope that, if remembering, they find no bitterness to swallow. Probably my biggest influence as a poet is Carl Sandburg. I was introduced to Honey and Salt when it first came out in 1962, sitting in the high school library instead of being in study hall, and it just completely turned my view around. And I have read and reread everything of his that I have in my collection over and over again ever since. And that's a long time. Visions experience. I have seen love in a tiny room where two people took each other for comfort. And lying on the tired mattress and thinning sheets, they took each other to hold off loneliness until dawn. The scientists studying love, imagining this region of the brain and then that, charting pressures and responses in veins and glands, discourses on how love is this chemical, not that. The sparks leaping across this synapse to race along this ganglia. And when she lies beside her partner at the end of their day, the images are put away in a corner of the room, less distracting, so she won't swat them down. Swat them like the mosquitoes looking to drain blood from love that they could be. I have seen in black and white two people dancing under a street lamp. And I have seen in all the colors of the hours how after death came to take one home, they continued to dance, to whisper, to talk across the space of their yearning lips, and sing with arms wide for the embrace nothing could shatter. Can you not say words of love then, so that they echo down the hallways of time like self-absorbed revelers bent on keeping you awake? Of course. And the sound their echoes make are the unborn heartbeats of what might have been, if only. I have seen you. When she set fire to your life and then pissed on the flames, why did you stay in the burning building? And I have to ask you, when he tried to hang you from the porch rail, why did you keep climbing the stairs to the noose of his love? No comments on this one. I think it'll be pretty self-obvious. 17th June 2015 and others. Gunshots don't ring out. Freedom rings, coronets, the voices of Sabbath choirs, table graces, children at play. These, I will agree, ring out. Gunshots explode, thunder, sunder flesh from blood, echo down the halls of ages as they remind us of loss in every firecracker overheard. Gunshots salute. They pay semi-holy tribute to our victory over them, to more of them dying than us, whether the war is institutional or against our personal targets. Color of your voice. The imagery that I keep coming back to when looking at relationships is the unknown territories that each person is and how those are mapped. Sunday afternoon in bed. Your Sacagawea teaches my Clark how to explore unknown lands. Speaking not in whispers, but softly, you tell me of your childhood, the games you played in the fields, the gods you worshipped each day. I hear the pinks and purples of sunrise at a new riverbank. Do one more for you. Called Jazz Me. Start me deep with jungle rhythms. Add sugar cane and soils containing languages we'll learn to soon discard. Give me baptism by fires in the darkest of the night, and then escape with me while our others wallow, while our others follow missionary tracks and black notes on white sheets. We will fix infusion. We will find the star stuff in each free improvisation. I will riff your body with my fingers, bring forth emanations with my lips, while you pluck counter notes and melodies to see us off this stage, beyond percussive endings, deep in God. Thank you very much.